The NFL offseason is upon us, and with that comes free agency and of course the NFL draft. We have done a few videos now on the NFL draft and only one or two on the topic of free agency. So as the title suggests, we're going to be focusing on free agency for today's video and predict where some big name players go in free agency in the next few weeks. And as everyone watching this video knows, JJ Watt was released recently, so of course he will be included in today's video and to predict where he goes this offseason. Now there will be several others of course, but yes, JJ will be in this video. Now, before we get started, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, as each only take a second to do and it would mean the world to me. Now let's begin. And we're going to start today's video with Richard Sherman, a corner who has been in the NFL for seemingly forever. He will be 33 years old at the start of the 2021 season, so don't expect Richard to sign a deal similar to what he signed a few years ago when he came to San Francisco, meaning a 3-year deal, because that probably is not a reality for him at this point in his career. He is a 5-time Pro Bowl and a 5-time All-Pro player, and there is no doubt somebody will pick him up. He had a very solid 2019 season aside from a few plays in the Super Bowl, and there is no doubt Richard has some good level of play left in him. What benefits him heading into free agency is his value as a leader in the locker room and his extremely high football IQ. When he's out on the field, it is like having a second coach out there, and there will surely be teams that value that. And as for Richard, we all know how competitive he is and how confident he is as a football player, and there is no doubt he will want to win another ring before he retires. He is 1-2 in Super Bowl's lifetime, and while winning a Super Bowl is an accomplishment for anybody, I can't speak for him obviously, but I would imagine he wants a second one in the absolute worst way, given how his teams lost the way they did. Quick recap: the interception to Malcolm Butler and the wasp play starting the comeback for KC in Super Bowl 54 had to have been hard pills for Richard to swallow. But San Francisco has other players to pay, and nobody would blame them for letting Sherman go, who, again as we said, will be a 33-year-old corner at the start of next season. My guess is Richard will go ring chasing, as there is zero reason for him to go to a rebuilding team, and we will soon find out who that team is. He has said multiple times before he loves the West Coast, as he has lived his whole life out there, but I do not think he will return to Seattle. And one final thought is he has earned money throughout his career, and this is a quick example, but if the Jets hypothetically threw $15 million per year at him, and the Chiefs or Bucks for example threw $5 million per year at him, I do think Sherman would take a heavy discount to play for a ring. And if he does win a ring with the team he signs with this offseason, then I would expect a retirement immediately after that. Next is Jadeveon Clowney, who played in 8 games in 2020 for the Titans and produced 0 sacks. Now, Clowney is a very mixed player in terms of opinions around the league, but the reality is someone will give him some sort of money. He is a former number 1 overall pick and is just 28 years old and is not a complete bust on top of it, so it's not like he's worthless or will not get a contract. And this may sound crazy, but what actually benefits Jadeveon is the Bucks' dominant Super Bowl performance against the Chiefs. And what I mean by that is front offices prior to the game already knew how valuable pass rush was. It's not like this is something new, but it is now reinforced, and of course with recency bias, the pass rush can win a championship if it's good enough, which the Bucks was. Now admittedly, I do expect there to be a difference between what Jadeveon and his camp value him at and what he will actually receive from a team in free agency, similar to last year. Because of his name value and who he is, he will still probably receive a $10 million per year contract or a little north of it. Yes, I realize he had 0 sacks in 2020, and what the Clowney camp will reiterate is what type of year this was given the worldwide pandemic, and this isn't their guy, and that surely 1 out of 32 teams will pay him. Remember, all it takes is one team. What would be best for him though is if he goes to a place, and we're throwing the cap space out the door for this example, but the Rams, where he could play on the same line as Aaron Donald. Again, we threw the cap space out the window for that specific example. If he goes to the Jets and gets paid relatively high, such as a 3-year $50 or $60 million deal, again we're talking hypotheticals, then this could be viewed as a significantly bad signing, and it would have the potential to be an all-time free agent bust for a team like the Jets. Jadeveon hasn't had the career at his position Richard Sherman has his, but I would imagine he would like to earn a ring at some point in his career. I mean, that's what the guys play for. He could be a very good pass rusher on a team with another good defensive lineman in a situation where he is not expected to be a 15-sack player, because that is not who he is. But unlike Richard, I will say this about Clowney: if the opportunity presented itself like the Jets we used, for example, the $15 to $20 million per year, I do think Clowney would take the bag over the discount to play for a ring. And with how bad Tennessee's pass rush was in 2020, I do expect them to do everything they can to retain him this year, within reason of course, and right now at this point in time, I am predicting he ends up in Nashville at the start of the 2021 season. Now we have Yannick Ngakoue, who is a former member of the Jags, Vikings, and now a free agent from the Ravens. Ngakoue has had an interesting career path for a couple of reasons, and his free agency path should be also interesting to say the least. He has 45.5 sacks over the first 4 years of his career, which is very good and has become known to be a strip sack artist, which is highly coveted around the NFL. He most notably went on a Twitter rant and was exchanging words with the Jags owner's son, which he said at a point, "Just trade me." That was in last April, and Ngakoue got his wish and eventually became a Minnesota Viking, only to not come to a long-term agreement with them, and then got traded to the Ravens for pennies on the dollar. So with Yannick, he is a good player but not a great player, and that really shouldn't offend anyone when I say that. There are edge rushers around the league like TJ Watt, and then there's the level underneath, and that is where Yannick falls in. He finished his season with the Ravens, and while I'm sure he liked being close to home given he grew up nearby, I just don't know how much that will play into where he goes in free agency. Taking to Twitter to tweet at the team owner's son to trade him is not a good look, and I don't think there's a way you can defend that. He has talent and someone will pay him, but the question is who. Ngakoue will be 26 years old at the start of next season, so my guess for him is he will try and sign a roughly 3-year deal worth $12 to $14 million per year, maybe more if someone's willing to pay that, and then put himself in a position to be able to hit free agency again at 29 years old. What benefits Yannick is his age and obviously his ability. But when a player is tweeting at the owner's son to trade him, I don't think there's a lot of loyalty from that said player, so due in large part to that, I fully expect him to chase the money and go to the team that offers him the most, whoever that team is. He is a good player, and if he plays his cards right, he will have the opportunity to get the third contract NFL players desire in a few short years. With pass rush being as much of a need as it is, Baltimore would be wise to do everything they can to try and bring him back. But ultimately, I do think Yannick goes to the highest bidding team and does not think twice. The second to last player we'll discuss for today's video is Shaq Barrett of the Bucks. Shaq had 19.5 sacks in 2019 and was the sack leader for the entire NFL and received a one-year nearly $16 million contract from Tampa. In 2020, he recorded 8 sacks and had 2 forced fumbles and was most notably a Super Bowl champion. Now for Shaq this offseason and what he'll receive is pretty tough to project. Surely nobody thinks he will be the consistent 19-sack player because for him, or even for Aaron Donald, that is not realistic. Having 19 sacks in consecutive years and for a 4 to 5 year span just isn't a reality, and everyone knows that. But what will he be over the next few years, and who will be willing to pay him are good questions at this point in time. Barrett is a 2-time champion, with the other being with the Broncos back in Super Bowl 50, and ultimately I do think he is a team-first guy, and that he will somehow, someway end up back in Tampa. And that goes for a lot of the Bucs free agents as well. A lot of these guys will have to take pay cuts to wind up back in Tampa, but the culture and the togetherness of everyone was very real, and everyone saw how close-knit of a group this was. Bruce Arians was telling players they're not going anywhere during the Super Bowl parade and everything, and while Bruce was saying that in the heat of the moment, I do expect a lot of the Bucs free agents to return on discounted deals. Now eventually I do expect Shaq to leave and try and get some money from somewhere, but for now and for this offseason, I think he returns and they try and run it back. And that goes for a lot of the other Bucs free agents as well, for what it's worth. As long as Tom is there and they have a great chance to win a Super Bowl, which they obviously do with Tom, I expect the majority of this roster to do what they can to end up back in Tampa. And the final player we discuss in today's video is of course JJ Watt, the now free agent. JJ is a player a lot of teams and a lot of contending teams will go after, largely due to who he is. He is a former 3-time Defensive Player of the Year award winner, which is an incredible accomplishment in itself, but we also know he isn't the player he used to be. But Watt provides a lot of value to NFL franchises, as he is a terrific leader on the field and in the community, and me calling him a terrific leader really doesn't do the justice of what JJ brings to a team and to a city. So when discussing his free agency, we have to mention what is more important than football, which of course is family. And JJ has 2 other brothers that play for the Steelers in Derek and TJ, and there is zero doubt JJ wants to go play there and play next to his brothers to finish his Hall of Fame career. But remember, the NFL is a business and the Steelers are tight on money. How long will JJ want to play is another viable question. He will be 32 at the start of the season, and does he want to play until he's 37, which would be ancient for a defensive lineman, or does he want to play 1 or 2 more years and call it quits? The Watts of course grew up in Wisconsin, and the Packers could use a veteran rusher like JJ as well. His situation is unlike any other free agents this year because he could very easily take a huge discount and play for a ring, or he could take a discount to play with his family. No other free agent has 2 brothers on another NFL team, and there is no doubt JJ wants wants to go there to be with his family. But how much of a discount would he be willing to take is something else entirely, and we will find out in a few short weeks. Pittsburgh isn't a complete dumpster fire, but they are far from the best contending team he could go to. JJ has always been a great guy, and how cool would it be for him to get a ring along with his brothers to end a Hall of Fame career? It would be extremely fitting, and I cannot wait to see where he decides to play. And with that being said, that's all I have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It would mean the world, and I will see you guys next time. Hopefully we have another interview this week, and I will leave that at that for now. But until next time, have a great day. Love you guys. Deuces. Peace. Love you guys.